Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Zebra Creations Workshop, also known as the Garage. So the other day I saw this picture of this bird feeder, and I thought to myself, I can make that, and I'm gonna bring you along on the journey. So what we have is a 1x6, 3 feet tall, on a 2x10 base. These little braces on it. Cut some notches for these little trays, these little plant trays, and they'll have bird seed in them. Definitely need to find something a little more sturdy, but this is all I could find at Home Depot today when I wanted to start this project. And then it's not 100% complete. When Rusty has time, this will go down into the basement, into her craft room, and she'll do some vinyl on it. And then I'll come back and I will put a coat of resin on it. Again, this is a prototype. It's the first one I made. Fairly confident that the more that I make, the better they'll get. Fingers crossed. Anyways, welcome to the journey of making this bird feeder for the first time. All right, here's our materials. This is all it's going to take to make this bird feeder. We're going to use a 2x10. I'm going to cut it at 12 inches. I've got this 1x6 pine. I'm going to cut it at 3 feet. Some plant trays. And we'll cut it a notch in the side of the board and slide those in. And then I'm also going to cut some braces out of this 1x6, about 4 inches height, and put a 45-degree angle on them just to help water shed off of them. All right, let's get to cutting. Okay, I have my 2x10 marked. I'm going to go ahead and cut it real quick. Unfortunately, my saw does not go that far, so I'll have to flip it and get it from the other direction to complete this cut. All right, here we go. On to cutting the 1x6. Super simple, got it marked up. That's our 3-footer. Now we're going to cut some 4-inch pieces for braces. I already got one marked off. I'm going to cut this second one, or cut this first one, and then we'll measure up and cut the second one. Gonna line this up so the saw stops. So we get the same size. Like so. Okay, there's our 1x4 braces. Now I'm going to reset my saw, cut a 45-degree angle on the end of one of these. Okay, I have 45-degree angles cut on both pieces. Now let's do some sanding and some assembly. Hey, you heard me say it before. I'm going to say it again. On to one of my least favorite parts of the project. That's sanding. I'm not going to waste your time showing you that. I'm just going to hit all this pine with 80 grit sandpaper, and we'll get this smoothed out so it looks really good, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, so hang on. Okay, we have sanded all these parts. Now actually comes another part that's a little bit harder for me to figure out, but we're going to wing this. It is cutting the notches for the trays. These trays I got at the Home Depot are pretty flimsy, so you're going to need to cut yours based on what quality diameter that you get. So what I did is I I got a little mark here. I'm going to drill just under a 1/2 inch hole. And then I'm going to take my jigsaw and I'm going to cut this out. And hopefully, when I'm done, it's going to slide in like all these test pieces I did and just hang right there like that. All right. So let's give it a shot. All right. Here we go. Well, first of all, I'm going to clamp this down. I'm going to drill a hole, and then I'm going to use my jigsaw and try to cut that notch. So hang on, let me clamp this down and we'll start. Okay. Due to the wonderful technical difficulties that I frequently have, I missed getting it filmed on how I cut this. Luckily, I have one more to show you how I did it, and I want to make sure we get that one filmed. So hang on, let me clamp this down and we'll take a whack at that second one. All right. So hang on. Okay, who's ready to take another whack at this? I am. Clamped down, ready to go. Got my drill, safety glasses. Let's go for it. All right, now we're going to try to cut this with the jigsaw, make a nice little notch like we did there. Here we go. There we go. Let's see if we got a fit. Oh yeah, that'll work. A little bit looser than I wanted it to be, but I can put a wedge under there, and it should work fine. All right, on to the next step. You guys ready for some assembly? Hopefully this goes well. So got some wood glue. I'm gonna go ahead and glue in our braces. Some wood glue on this. A nice coat on it. Again, this is a brace, and it's also going to help move some of the water off of the top. Just going to go like this. Put this down here even. Like so. I'm going to shoot some nails in this with my Rogue nail gun. Just hold it in place. I'm going to flip it over to the other side. Same thing. Put a bunch of glue on it. Might actually walk over here and get some paper towels because, you know, you got them. Might as well use them. All right, let's wipe this on. Get this on. Nice and even. Try to stay away from the edges a little bit so it doesn't squeeze out. All right, that's that. Same thing. Line this up. Everything's flush, especially on the bottom, the edges. Come on now. And there we go. Next step, attaching it to the base. All right, we'll be back for that in a minute. Symbol. I have marked the middle of the base and pre-drilled some holes from the bottom. I've also countersunk the holes so that the screws will sit in there nice. Now, I'm sure there's a better way to do this. This is what I'm going to do. Try to figure out, where the middle is on the base. So now I'm just going to try and center this board. So we're pretty closely centered. Pretty close there. 3/8. Try to get it nice and square. So we are pretty good. This direction. This a little bit. Once I get this centered in all directions, then I'm going to shoot some nails to hold it temporarily until I flip it over and screw it in. So hang on to that for a second. Okay, here we go. So temporarily held in place with some nails. Pre-drilled, like I said before. And then after I got this flipped over, I pre-drilled into the actual sign board. I'm going to take these 3.5-inch long nails, screws, and we're going to zip these in, stabilize this whole thing. Again, it's really important that you pre-drill this so you don't split your wood. And I like to put a little glue in the holes. Just help tie it all together. All right. Let's see how stable we are. Here we go. Finished product. Well, not quite finished. We're going to put a burn on this baby. And then it's going to go into the basement into Rusty's craft room. And we're going to let her tweak it and make it pretty. And then we'll come back and put a resin coat on it. All right? Hang on. We're going to burn this baby. All right. Who's ready to burn? I have moved outside because I have a smoke detector in my garage and I don't want to hear it go off. So we're going to light up this torch and we're going to burn this. And then I'll come back after I've burned it and I'll brush it with a wire brush and we'll get a bunch of texture that you never knew existed. You'll be able to feel all the grain. It'll be really cool when it's completely done. So I'm just going to run up and down these grains. And then I'll be back when I'm done burning. And I'll wire brush it and I'll show you what we got. All right? I'll be back. Okay, all done burning. Now I'm just going to take this wire brush and just brush everywhere that I burned. And as you do that, you'll start to get a nice groove. Start to feel some of that grain, which is awesome. Also, when you're doing this, always brush with the grain. Just like sanding, brush with the grain. So I'm going to finish this and I'll show you what it looks like up close when I'm done. So I'm all done brushing and it's kind of hard to see on camera. But the texture on this wood right now, you can feel these grooves and it almost feels like old barnwood. So it's pretty cool. It's one of my favorite finishes. So whole thing's brushed and wiped down. And we're gonna wrap this up here in a minute, so hang on. Are we ready to wrap this up? I am. This is not 100% complete yet. It will get probably some Cricut vinyl, some artwork on it. And that will be Rusty's apartment as soon as she has time in her craft room downstairs. And then I will come back and we will do a resin coat on this. And I think it'll be awesome. This is a prototype. This is the first one I've ever made. Definitely need to find some better trays for birdseed. But for being the first one I ever made, I think it turned out really well. I saw a picture of this and I felt fairly confident I could make it. So thanks for coming along for the ride and experimenting with me. And thanks for joining me in the Zadberg Creations Workshop, also known as the Garage. Stay tuned. We'll get this finished up in a short time. Thanks for watching.